You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay Smith. The interview subject I have coming up for you is Henkka Blacksmith. He plays bass in Finnish outfit Children of Bodom. The reason for the conversation is that the brand new album from the band is titled Hexed and it is released tomorrow, that being the 8th of March 2019. So let's have a listen to what Henkka has to say. Here we go. Hey mate, what's been happening apart from the Aussie phoner grind?
It's all good. My kid is a little bit sick, so I couldn't take her to daycare. So it's a little bit. She might be, coming and ask me to change the program or something. So I hope you don't mind.
Of course not, mate. I'm a father of two daughters myself, and must be something going around Australia and Finland, I reckon, because one of my two kids has had this permanent sniffle, and God knows where she gets it from. But I remember. Just quick story. We're on the plane flight over to the Philippines because my wife's family are Filipino, and we stopped off at Singapore, and my kids got a virus on the plane that they because we were flying for Australia's bloody far away from everywhere. I think it was about 14 hours or so. I think by the time that we'd landed, so 14 hours later or what have you, they'd almost lost the virus by then. So they caught it, had it, lost it. Then they gave it to us, and we had it for about a week or two. You know what I mean? So kids, it goes through their system so quickly, but for us as adults, it just lingers and just makes us feel like shit.
Yeah, it is. Well, she has this cough, she's had it for a week now, and otherwise she's totally fine, but it just sounds so brutal, and and now the winter is still on here, so when you take it to daycare, they usually play half of the day outside, and So it's just something that I try not to avoid. I try to avoid now that she could be just inside and.
I bet. Well, that's the other issue too, isn't it? Because our winters aren't brutal like what yours are, but we still have that thing where you go from outside it's cold, inside it's hot because heaters are on, and that's the environment that breeds sickness.
Yeah.
So it's the same all over the world. I do find that about travelling to colder climates. I haven't been to Europe yet. I hope to go, but. Especially over in the States like New York where they've got that where you freeze outside but then you're too hot inside. So you're sort of constantly taking layers of clothes off. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is tricky.
Cool. Well, mate, we better talk about this album, this 10th album of yours, Hexed. Now, I had a really good listen to it today, actually, because it was in the Nuclear Blast portal. Been in there for a couple of days, but I was really able to sink my teeth into it. And I think it's an album that celebrates all of the greatest characteristics of the band. So... The thing that I've always liked about you guys is that I'm a bit old school in a way in that I love bands like White Line. So I can really hear Alex's Vito Bratta-esque rhythmic phrasing. And I love the fact that there's a real focus on melody with you guys juxtaposed against the death vocal. And the crowning achievement for you guys has always been, as far as I'm concerned, wonderful musicianship. Wonderful musicianship from all of you. And I'm a bass player too, mate, so I really get what you do and how much thought you give to what you do from a musician's perspective. But, mate, now that I've said all of that, what are your thoughts on the album?
Well, I'm glad to hear all these things, of course. The album itself, we did it in pretty much the same way we always done, so there was no special, direction or perspective that... We just did it. This time we actually had a little bit more time to compose the songs, and it was actually the first time ever that we actually went on tour in between the writing. So we had I think we had 3 songs ready, and then we went for 2-month touring to celebrate the 20 years anniversary. So we played a lot of those old tracks from the 90s, and then we came back to the rehearsal place to finish the songs. So. There might be some something, some subconscious effect on the songs and the songwriting too. So there might be that's maybe some of the older influences come from because we actually went on tour in between.
Okay. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's I'm really happy with the album, and it seems that it's getting better. It's a little bit harder for me to at least. It's not so easy listening, at least for me. But I'm really, really happy with it. And some songs for example, This Road, the song called This Road, I didn't like it at all in the beginning, but now after 6 months, I'm a fan. So, yeah.
Well, look, the only don't take this as a criticism at all. This feedback here, and it's probably because I'm a bass player. Okay, that I picked up on
Yeah.
this, but you are a very, very good bass player. I must say, I found myself. When you put your headphones close to your head, close to your ears, and you press them in so they can hear the bass better. I found that
Yeah.
I was doing that a lot because you've got a lot of really tasty runs that you've put underneath Alex's guitar playing. But I don't feel as though whoever mixed your I think it was Miko Camilla, who's done all of your albums, I think, or thereabouts since 1998 or so. But and as I say, don't take this as a criticism at all. But because you are such a good bass player and you write such great parts, I'd just like to hear you a bit better. That's all. So what was that a discussion that took place in the studio when you were mixing it or when you were mastering it, where you thought, well, did it come up at all? This bass sound?
No, it's not. Never really a discussion. It's more like that we just want to get a perfect mix. Yeah, and then the levels are what they are. I've been lately very happy with the sound and with how the bass actually comes through, because if you listen to the first albums, it's almost like Justice for All.
Yeah, it's inaudible.
So,
that's the bass player's life, isn't it?
Yeah, but lately it's been much better, and so I'm happy, and I just try to look the big picture. And
yeah, that's fair enough.
Of course,
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you would want it more up.
Well, you've got a lot of really. I don't know the songs intimately, so I can't recall the actual songs that I was listening to and the parts in the songs, and tell you where I really enjoyed some of the stuff that you were doing. But the best thing I like about your bass playing is you're not just following Alex. You're actually got your own melody. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're actually like a rhythm. You're actually like a second lead guitar. On occasions, and I love that with the bass player because, man, a lot of bass players are frustrated guitarists and they play it like a guitar, but you're still playing it like a bass, but you've got these wonderful rhythmic qualities that then sort of morph into a bit of a lead line for a little bit, and it's a bit like what Rex from Pantera used to do when he was obviously in Pantera, like underneath the song Floods, and
okay.
That's what I was hearing, man. So yeah, check it out. I mean, you clearly know what the hell's going on behind that bass guitar, and don't get me wrong, a lot don't. A lot of metal bass players just phone it in, as I say, or a frustrated guitarist. But you're one of those. You're right. So you go, mate.
Yeah, no, I think I might have been like when I started, I maybe wasn't more like frustrated guitar player, but then the more you play with these guys and the more experience you get and the more wiser you get, then I find my place in a way, and I think I'm more comfortable nowadays. Yeah, with the bass in this band than I was, in the first albums.
Yeah, well, talking about first albums, and I mentioned it in the introduction to my first question, I suppose. But 10 albums in. I say this with my tongue firmly planted in cheek, but you are dangerously close to making heavy metal a career. So, did you think you'd still be doing this 23 years after you first joined or started the band?
No, of course not. That would have been ridiculous. When we started the band, or when I joined the band, we just wanted to. The dream was to get a record deal, and then when that happened, after a few years, it took, it felt like an eternity. But when we got the record deal, we're like, what the hell? And then the record deal was actually 3 albums. I was like, what the fuck? 3 albums? How are we going to be able to do that? That's going to be a long time. And what are we going to be then when the third album is ready?
Yeah.
So I just remember this. I remember clearly how I felt about the first deal with the 3 albums. And then everything else is just, way beyond of anything.
Imagine. I mean, you started the band when heavy metal was about as popular as, well, I don't know, you can use any superlative you want. It wasn't popular at all, let's face it. Even in Europe, it wasn't. I mean, it had Germany, it's always been very strong in Germany, and I suppose Sweden, and some of the Scandinavian countries. But elsewhere, man, I mean, you couldn't get a seat in any table anywhere if you're in a metal band, and you started it at a time that was probably perfect in some ways because you could sort of get to know the real metal fans, and then probably around about 2001 or 2002, I could be wrong here, but this is just going from memory, you guys exploded and you started to be able to tour places like Australia. So look, just congratulations on being able to make it a career. It's bloody hard being a musician in any genre, let alone heavy metal, but you guys have done it.
Yeah. Well, we have done it, yeah, and it's great. It's very grateful for that.
And Mikko Camilla, who I mentioned before, who produced the album, he's been along for the ride almost the entire time. So is he like a member of the band at this point?
No. Oh, God, no. No,
That was said emphatically.
He's a good man, and we like to work with him because it's so, in a way, easy.
Yep.
But we have to really know him before it gets easy, because he's a weird character. But there's the trust. He tells you when you should play it again, and he doesn't tell you. If he doesn't tell you, then it's good, and then you can move on. So it's very very convenient relationship with him, and then he just makes a good sound. So there's the trust, and that's why it's so easy to always go with him.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. He's worked with a ton of other bands. I was looking at on Encyclopedia Metallium. So Ed Guy, I think, is just one off the top of my head, but there are a lot of other. Charon. There are so many bands that he's worked with. To be honest with you, before I did the research before this interview, and keep in mind I've done almost 400 interviews at this point, I hadn't heard of him. So he's just one of those guys that slipped underneath the radar, but he clearly does a good enough job. So he's helped you guys sound fantastic over the years.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys who doesn't really make a he doesn't sorry, I'm lacking the words. He doesn't make a show of himself. He's very quiet. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight. I don't think he would never give an interview, even though he was asked. Maybe in some certain magazine. But so in a way, it's not a surprise that you never heard of him because he's not loud, otherwise than in the credits of the albums. So, which is also, I think, it's a very nice feature in a guy like that who is actually very good at what he does and very successful, but he's still super humble, normal dude.
Talking about normal dudes, the Wikipedia entry for you, I don't know whether you know this or whether you put it there or someone you noted it, but it says
I haven't touched it.
Well, it says about you that you're the most, I don't even know what this means, to be honest with you, the most equilibriated member of the band in a general way. Who wrote that?
I also read it from there, and I also didn't know what it means, but I guess I took it as a compliment.
I know it goes most equilibrated member of the band. It sounds like lawyer speak or someone trying to sound really smart and put some attribute to you as this is his characteristic. He's the most equilibrated member of the band. But then they got comma in a general way, so it's like that could mean almost anything. So that's weird. So you're the guy who tells everybody to go home at 3 a.m. when they're in the pub and everybody still wants to kick on, are you? Is that the role you play in the band?
No, not anymore. No.
Yeah, I know. Look, it's like that being in a band, though, isn't it? You got to. I mean, yourself and Alex have been there since pretty much from the start. So, What about the relationship between you and Alex at this point? Is it? There I can hear your young child in the background. They're coughing. Do you want to go and?
Oh, really?
Take care of things?
She's down there in the basement. Well, yeah. But I heard her too.
That's cool. If you need to step away for any period of time, mate, you just go for it, though. No dramas there. Gosh, as I said, I understand these things. So
thanks. Thanks, it's okay.
But you and Alex, mate, are you mates? You know what I mean when I say that in the Aussie way? Are you guys good buddies? Do you hang out, or is it business?
Well, it's not. I think the whole of the band, everybody of us is like we're more like. We're not really friends anymore. It's more like that we're, siblings. Yeah. That you know how siblings are. That you enjoy the company always, but you have your your differences and you know them very well, and you try to avoid you know how to avoid the conflicts, and you also know how to to create a conflict really easily if you want to. So it's more like a sibling. It's like a brotherhood. Is that the word?
Yeah. It's a very good word.
And of course, we spend a lot of time together anyway. So because we are colleagues, so it's yeah, in a way it's like a friendship, but I don't know if we're like buddies or mates. But of course when we do press together, we have time, we have fun, especially on stage. We always have fun, so it's very special. It's a weird relationship, but it's I think the most important thing is that always on the stage, it's like you forget everything else, and then it feels like in a way you are somewhere else, and then you're just the best friends again, and it's a weird situation. But I always like to compare it to being brothers.
Yeah, I like that word you used before too, brotherhood. That's I've having been in mini bands myself. I reckon good bands, I call it the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the musicians. You do form a very special bond with people that you perform music with. It's very similar to being on a very successful sporting team. I think I haven't been part of too many successful sporting teams, but I have played a lot of sport, and there's a lot of similarity between the two, because you've got to rely on the person next to you to deliver so that you can do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how it is, and I've done so. I would never call it session work, but turn up and play work, as I call it, where people haven't been rehearsed, and you feel like throwing a glass of beer on them, to be honest with you, because you've worked so hard.
It must be frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, music's so obvious when someone hasn't rehearsed or doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah,
exactly. That's why it's been very fortunate for us that. And of course, that's probably part of the success. But always when everybody tries to step up and be prepared when we meet, and then that's how it works.
Hey, I'll do a time check. How much time have we got left?
Hold on. I think the next one is in 20 minutes, but then I have to drive somewhere to do it. So I don't know. I think we have given like 20-minute slots. So I think we have like 5.
All right, mate. I'll ask you one more question so you can head off. But Australia, you must know that you got some fans here. And I even saw that one of my mates who I've done a lot of writing for in Metal Obsession has Anwar. He even went to Alex's wedding, I think, from some of the photos that I saw on his Facebook timeline. So I think you guys do have a fan base down here that you must be aware of. But how would you describe the relationship between you guys in Australia? Has it been a productive one for you?
Well, it's first of all, it's quite difficult to come over to do like shows in a like lucrative way. So, and like you maybe said, we I think the first shows we ever played in Australia was like early 2000s. So we've been there a few times, and it's been always very, very nice. It's a long way, and you have to usually combine it with other markets somewhere nearby.
Japan,
some closest Japan, Asia, Southeast Asia. So, but yeah. The first feeling that gets to me is that it's quite hard to come to play shows there because it's so expensive for us, which is a sad thing. But then always when we went there, it's been super nice, small clubs or like maybe mid-size clubs and a lot of people, and you can tell that when you come from a land so far away to another land so far away that people are you can see that they're very happy that a Finnish band comes over to play this kind of music for them. So it's a very special thing. It's a very special thing, just mostly because it's so hard to get to, and it's difficult area for us. And I really hope that we could get some shows on this cycle too.
I hope so too, mate. And I think a lot of fans here will be eagerly awaiting a performance from you guys. So, mate, I'll let you head off. Congratulations on an outstanding career. You've done it for a long time now, and here's to the next 23 years of playing bass in an excellent heavy metal band for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
No worries,
thanks for chatting with me.
No worries at all, mate. Pleasure. Okay.
Hi.
Bye. Bye. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. That interview subject was Henkka Blacksmith from the Finnish outfit Children of Bodom. Thanks so much for listening.